Hello, dearest friends, beautiful souls of love and light. This is Nenari, Princess of the Sea, coming to you with the next video in our video series of the sacred path of twin soul relationships. And this video is about some questions that since the release of the main set of videos that are here on YouTube that I have been receiving. And so I'm going to address those questions here as some of you have been free from seeing them. So I'm going to address those in a video here. One of the questions that came in was, has anyone ever felt someone unknown who is kissing your lips telepathically? And this woman had asked, the reason that she was asking this is she was getting someone who was doing this, and she was feeling this happen telepathically on her lips. And she could feel like the lips were moving and stimulated by a telepathic kiss. And she wanted to know, okay, basically the underlyingness of the question was, am I crazy? And my response to her was this: it was, it happens all the time. I feel it all the time with my twin soul. Chris and I, Natu and I, experience this all the time, where telepathically we are sending messages to each other, either, through song or, telepathically kissing one another, telepathically, making love in a tantric experience, all different types of things. So it's free from being, that she's crazy at all. In actuality, our first language is telepathic communication, where we are free from actually having to be in the physical presence of another to experience such things as being kissed and whatnot. It's our humanness that chooses to also have that experience. That's why we come here, because in essence, we are coming here in physical human form to experience in physical form what it is that we are free from experiencing in spirit. And so she had written back to say that she found it weird because she can't detect who this was. And someone else had written a comment to her that it is her inner self connecting with the twin soul activator. And this is very true, what he said. And I explained to her that she is not the only one. The fact that you cannot detect who it is, or that she could not detect who it was at that moment, is, the coming of her twin soul. She is in that activation period of precognizance awareness, which is what I speak about in the very first video that is here listed on YouTube, that explains about precognizant awareness, and that's what she's experiencing. And so she had written back to say thank you and how much she appreciated it, and how I hit the spot about twin souls, and it explains everything that she's experiencing. And she's had other readers and people coming to her saying that this was coming, basically. And so she was very grateful to me for this. And so one of the other things that had come up is that someone had also asked me, another person had asked me about what is a near twin soul. I've made reference to it, I think, a couple of times in the videos here, as well as in, forum discussions and on my website and pages and whatnot. So the question that was brought to me is, what is a near twin soul? So the answer to that is that near twin souls are as close to being our twin soul as they possibly can be. They are the same energetic vibrational resonance of the twin soul energy. The major difference, if you will, is that within the twin soul sacred path union, there is often a lot of work that is to be done, healing work, from an earthly standpoint, because you are looking at the most direct mirror of you and the most direct mirror of source, which is you. With near twins, you are more or less seeing the direct mirror of the relationship you most desire with your twin soul once all the healing work is already done. And so usually we experience with near twin souls the space of, it being a much easier relationship. Things flow. There's more synchronicity. There's more joy and, happiness sitting there. However, there's that little piece of you that realizes, okay, this is not the one. Is close, but it's not quite the one. That's how you know you're in the presence of your twin soul, or sorry, your near twin. Okay. And so the near twin is basically holding the space for you and showing you what can be with you in your twin soul once all the work is complete of the four melding of the four bodies and going through the 8 phases in its totality and completion. So that's who near twin souls are. Another person had written in to say that I've just read your twin is you. Merge with source, then you will not look for another. There is no separation. So the twin soul idea is creating separation. Don't believe in this idea too much. I believe we could still be loved, joyful, and content without the twin. So the response that's coming through from source, from the master artist on this, is this. It is free from being about looking for another. It is simply that we are choosing to share the whole perfect and completeness of who we are with another in divine love, of true love, in the sacred path relationship. That is what the twin soul relationship is, in the sense of the romantic standpoint, but it is also what it is for all of our relationships. That, as I've explained before in previous videos, the earthly based relationship is that we are reaching outside of us, that we feel that we are not whole, perfect, and complete, and we're reaching outside of us for another to somehow make us happy, somehow make us feel better, somehow, make us feel complete. And that's an earthly based relationship, and that's often based upon needs being met, a sense of financial security, or a sense of feeling secure at home within because of this other person. That is free from being where I come from, nor is it where we are as twin souls, Chris and I. That is not where we come from either. Coming from what a spiritual relationship is, or a soulful relationship, or that divine true love of twin souls and other deeper spiritual, romantic, and other relationships, is seeing that the two or more, if it's, a family type relationship or whatnot, the two or more are whole, perfect, and complete simply as they are in this moment, and they see one another as that, and then they choose to share their completeness together in a relationship, being that most direct mirror of one another, in uplifting one another to continue to be more and more of who we are, which is that love, which is that light, which is that creativity, which is that space of being in love, not only in love romantically, but also in love with all of life. And when we're in that space, that is what a deep, soulful, spiritual relationship is, as twin souls, and also in all of our relationships, whether it be friendship, a soulmate perhaps, whatever the situation may be, brother, sister, that type of relationship. And so one can always be loved, joyful, and content without our twin soul. However, that too creates separation. And the reason is that if one is so content without the twin soul that they are free from desiring to be with the twin soul, depending on if the twin soul agreement is that romantic love or of another soul agreement, this then creates separation, because what in essence you're saying is, well, I'm so whole, perfect, and complete within myself, I don't need you, I don't need anyone. And that's the whole reason that we come here, is not for that neediness in that earthly sense, but it's simply a desire to share our completeness with another. And that's why we come here. If not, we can just go back and be in spirit, eh? So that creates a sense of separation. If we are so whole, perfect, and complete within ourselves that we supposedly don't want to share that completeness with anyone. Then the reverse of that is that if we are so earthly needy from coming from a space of that we somehow need those earthly desires being met, of security, of, someone outside of us making us whole, perfect, and complete, rather than being whole, perfect, and complete within, that causes separation as well. So therefore, it's really being in a balance of both being loved, joyful, and content without our twin soul, in the sense that we don't need them in that needy sense. It's simply that we're choosing to be with them, simply because we choose. And because it's the chosen soul agreement that we have chosen with our twin soul and with Source before we came here, that we either remember consciously or we're free from remembering, depending upon where you're at in the spiritual journey. So there are some souls on this earth, as I've shared before, there are some souls on this earth that, and in the cosmos, whose mission and purpose in their chosen soul agreement is different, and their focus is different in their twin soul reunion, that is free from including romantic love. For instance, I have a former friend whose twin souls are brothers, and their brother and sister. It's her son and daughter, and they are twin souls. So obviously they would be free from having some sort of a romantic union here on this earth, yet they still have a divine purpose and mission. Their divine purpose and mission is to illuminate and be divine unconditional love of all souls. Okay, so it depends upon the twin souls themselves and what their chosen soul agreement is. Now, my twin soul and I, our soul agreement is that we will be the divine expression of unconditional love on the sacred path of romantic relationship and of all. So we have both. Some twin souls are just here for the divine purpose of being light workers together, in the sense of busting illusions for people. Other twin souls are here simply as guides and bring through the wisdom in a sense of just in a musical sense. I have made reference in videos before about Deva, Pramal, and Mitan. They are twin souls, and they are a perfect example of their mission and purpose is to bring through chanting through Sanskrit language and other languages of the world and the cosmos, through the heart and art of music, and through that only is their twin souls mission and purpose of bringing the divine love. Okay, and their projects are reflective of that music and only that music. So it depends upon the chosen soul agreement of the twin souls at that moment as to how that's going to manifest. But it is actually being the ambassadors of divine, true, unconditional love in all ways. Just which way it's going to manifest for the twin souls is upon their soul agreement. Another question that was brought to me from another woman had to do with the difference. She was reading a book on twin souls, and it was mentioned in this book something having to do with high level and low level soulmates, and what that is. And so I will explain it this way, of the way Source is giving this to me, the way a master artist is giving this to me through to you, which is within the context of the book. I don't know, I haven't read it, but within the context of the book, I feel, and Source feels, what is being referred to as high level or low level soulmate. A low level soulmate, in essence, would be someone who you have a lot of karma to work with, a lot of what we would call earthly karma, as in life lessons. We call them here from an earthly standpoint. Spiritually, it's known as soul rememberings, because we are really free from having anything to learn. We already have everything within us. It's just simply that we are to remember who we are. Ergo, the title of my second book, as the Master Artist had given it to me, which is Stepping into Spiritual Oneness, Spiritual Rememberings of the Soul Through Life Experience. That was the reason for that title of the book. And so, a lower level soulmate from an earthly context, in spirit, there is no higher or lower. Earthly, we consider that just earthly constructs and as a means of describing the reality or the world around us. So, a lower level soulmate would be someone that you have a lot of karma with from, earthly standpoint, earthly karma that is to be balanced, worked through life lessons, that kind of thing. A higher level one then is someone who is more spiritually evolved and spiritual maturity, and you may have less life lessons, but they are very key ones and very important ones that actually lead you to either your near twin or your twin soul. These quote unquote higher level, again, I will stress there is no higher or lower in spirit, but from an earthly standpoint, these higher level, if you will, soulmates, usually those life lessons or soul rememberings have to do with the really few core ones, such as compassion, forgiveness, unconditional love. Patience and what it is, being multidimensional, the opening of the heart, those types of things. And that would be what a higher or lower soulmate is. Now, oftentimes in the twin soul relationship, there is uh, something that occurs within the runner dynamic and crisis phase and testing phase that we often feel to abandon the twin soul relationship and seek to be with a soulmate rather. Now, there's two components to this. One is that if you have a soul agreement with someone else to be in a soulmate relationship prior to your complete physical reunion with your twin soul, then this is definitely something you would want to explore. However, most of the time what tends to come up is there's usually a sense of fear, a sense of loneliness, a sense of not being in complete physical reunion with our twin soul. And so we attempt to jump ship, as it were, and attempt to get into a relationship with another soulmate as a way of easing that loneliness rather than continuing on the sacred path with our twin soul. So this had come up and had a situation with a woman who I mentor who had come to me and this dynamic had come up in relation to this because she was experiencing some things that have come up for her in relationship to freedom. And this is another aspect that I spoke about in the other videos that I would like to address as well now within what was asked of me by this woman who that I mentor. And she was expressing that she felt like that she was enjoying her freedom so much and helping people that she does and shining her light that she was questioning the value of having her twin soul in her life. And so what was coming up was that I had responded to her with was that in reading what she was sending me, that I could definitely see that the sacred path, sacred union process was beginning for them indeed. And again, what this brings up is that oftentimes we are attempting to run from love when we say that, oh, we desire to be free. Um, so in essence, you're running from you. And I know this all too well because I have gone through it, and so has Chris. We've done so to varying degrees. And one is to come to realize that in the surrendering for the divine feminine, the surrendering of the divine masculine, or for the divine masculine, if they are surrendering to us, the divine feminine, is that one is free from really losing their freedom at all. In fact, a new freedom emerges that can only be felt and experienced within the sacred path of divine unconditional love. And it's something that you are to experience within sharing that whole perfect and completeness you are with another giving intimately through only how lovers who entwine that way can, and then giving to the world as well. And again, I have spoken about Deva Premal Mitan in this video now, and in others, and also Michael and Ricky Beckwith. If you look at them as twin souls, and also John Lennon and Yoko Ono when John was here on this earth, and even now, you know, that he is no longer here physically on this earth, they still continue their mission together as twin souls. What is occurring with them is there is a balance. There is a balance of moments when you are able to be alone and create, in knowing that even though you're alone, you're not really alone as in lonely, you are all one, as in you are still with your twin soul, even if you're not in physical presence. And then there's also the balance of doing the creations together. And it's working to create that balance in relationship, physically and otherwise, that is what the sacred path of the dance of lovers is. It's being that balance. It's marrying, if you will, or being in union and dancing together in that balance of moments of aloneness to be able to create, and also of being in togetherness and still being in that space of being in love. And I'm going to do another video about this dynamic of being in love and subconscious programming and whatnot related to this. So please stay tuned for that video as well. What it really is that you are to choose in those moments what it is that you value more, your own personal freedom or the freedom of that divine unconditional love on the sacred path. Personal freedom is wonderful, and I'm free from saying that, you know, it's not. Yet it comes at a price. And that price is not truly being with the one who calls to your heart in the sacred path union of divine love, in sharing your whole perfect completeness with another. Now, some people say that they can be happy being alone in that sense, and then just having deep spiritual loving relationships with all different types of people. However, I will bring this up and say that even a baby, if it is not loved and nurtured and held and cuddled and affectionately, continuously being given to in that way, will die within moments after it has been born if it is not experiencing that human connection. Now again, that human connection can certainly come through deeper spiritual relationships with friends and soul family members and whatnot. But at the end of the day, when you are alone in your room, laying in that bed, do you really choose to be in the arms of the one who calls to your heart and fall asleep in being in love? Or do you prefer sleeping alone? Now, there are moments in ego consciousness when we would say, oh, I prefer sleeping alone. I don't want a hassle of a relationship. I've had my beloved say that to me, you know, that he finds hassles and, you know, that a relationship is a hassle and whatnot. The question I ask is that your true heart? Or, much like that baby who is desiring to be loved and cuddled and held, do you desire to be in sharing your completeness, not in having needs met, but in simply sharing your completeness of giving in service to another, to be in the arms of the one you love and holding that person, giving that way, and having them give to you? We are wired in humanness of consciousness to experience in physical form this. And so personal freedom is wonderful. If that's what you choose to be alone, then so be it. However, we came here to experience that intimate sacred path relationship. And this is what we are being asked to do and be in being in love. And it's in those moments of having that fear that comes up within you that wants you to be in that automatic programming that has you push away that love, that very love. So in those moments, the questions would be, who am I to be? And what is getting ready to birth through me so that I can be love and be with my twin soul rather than being in fear or pushing or running away? Acknowledging the fear is perfect. It's wonderful. However, fear is a tool. Fear is a tool that we are free from being stuck within. We are being asked to take it for the tool that it is and to transform it into being in the now. Fear is usually of the future or of the past. We're either replaying automatic programming that's going on in the past that has us in this fearful mode, or we're playing out a possible future in which a what if scenario happens that we are within fear in. If we are to be here now, be here in the moment is to be in love and be in that space of love. And again, I will talk more about that in this next video. But in being in love, then the questions are, who am I to be in this moment? And what is getting ready to birth through me so that I may be this love and be with my twin soul in the moment, being here now in the moment, ready to receive. The choice is really up to you. Now, this woman who I mentor had come back to me expressing how she found my stamina to be absolutely amazing, and how she wondered how I could carry on in my relationship with Chris in Twin Souls, and how she was feeling very much that she was spent, that she's just had enough, I can't do it anymore, kind of thing. And so the response that was given in those moments was this, what I share with you now. When one is in a place of true unconditional love, stamina then becomes non-existent, as it is simply God, Source, the Master Artist, simply flowing through you and through us in the moment. There is free from being any requirement of stamina. Stamina only comes in when we are on the threshing floor, as Khalil Gibran talks of, in shedding and chiseling all that is not love to come into what the true essence of love really is. I do understand these threshings as was being shared simply because I've been through such with Chris in many moments. And in those moments, I have, in my humanness, have said, look, I'm done, I'm spent, I don't feel like I can do this anymore. And somehow in each moment, Source then comes to me and just seems to fill me up. Because God is my first lover, Source is my first lover. My relationship, my first primary relationship is with God, is with Source, and then I'm refilled again. It's like oftentimes I have heard this from many spiritual readers who have come to me and who have said, well, I can only do a certain amount of readings in a day, because of the energy and whatnot. And, I understand that from the physical aspect, because the physical aspect, physically you may get tired, and whatnot. And I admit after coming out of, channeling and doing stuff, I physically feel tired myself and perhaps hungry or whatnot after coming out of it. I feel famished. However, when you are being in the moment, there is no stamina. It's a creative flow. Think of it this way, and I will expand upon this further in the next video that I do. But think of it this way: when you are actually in the moment of a song, say you have a song that you are listening to that you just really love, okay? What's happening in that moment of that song? You are just so into the music. You are just so into it. Take a moment and just imagine that. Think of your favorite song that comes to mind right now, and you are just in the flow of that song. Do you feel any sense of stamina? that you can't go on until the end of the song, that you won't make it through the song, that you're spent, that you're done with the song. No. You are totally in the flow. You are totally in love. You are just totally in that space of being carried by the song, by the music, of what's really, that is the true essence of who you really are. Okay, and so when you're in that space of unconditional love, then there is no stamina, and the quest is to actually be in that space continuously, whether you're doing a reading, whether you're with your twin soul, whatever the situation is. So what tends to happen in that stamina phase is that you come into a realization, and I on my own journey with my twin soul have come into this same realization, is this. And this goes back to what was being talked about earlier about having another soulmate coming into your life. If you have a soul agreement with that soulmate, and you choose to do that before complete reunion with your twin soul in physical form, then by all means do so. If that's what you're feeling called to in your heart. I just simply ask you, and Source is asking you to come from a space of being sure that that's really what it is, and not a space of trying to run away. Because what will happen is that anything that you're having been dealing with, you've been free from dealing with your twin soul, in that twin soul relationship will then come out in another form, in another relationship. So for example, say you get involved with another soulmate, whatever issue that you have not dealt with per se, let's say if it has to do with freedom, if it has to do with any childhood traumas, if it has to do with anything that has to do with not loving yourself totally and completely, that will filter through in that soulmate relationship for you to deal with on some level. So as Source is always giving it to me, is this saying, anything that you are free from loving totally and completely, you will repeat again and again until you come into a space of love with it and within it. So this person who I was mentoring, she says she would like to just, go off and be with a soulmate. By all means, she may, do so, or she can always be alone. But at some point, if she has been free from dealing with anything, it will resurface either through that soulmate relationship, in her time being alone, in some form or fashion. It will, sometimes it'll come out in physical body illness, or what we call disease, being, not at ease with one's soul. It will manifest itself in some way until you come into that place of love with it and within it, and total acceptance and surrender. Now, she was referring to something else having to do with not fitting into someone else's paradigm. She had basically said that the other men that she had been in relationships with were in love with her, and she with them, and weren't experiencing this kind of problem that she's experiencing with her twin soul, and that she deserves to be treated with respect, and that she didn't feel that this was being so with her twin soul, and that it doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice who you are to fit another's agenda. And so the response that was coming through is this: it's not about sacrificing who you are to fit another's agenda. If anyone understands that, it is I. That is why I have always stood up to Chris when he has attempted to do things that have been dominating within being in his automatic programming, and attempting to make me subservient as a woman. I will stand up to him and not buy into his automatic programming. And we all have this within us, of shedding our automatic programming that is to be done. And so when this would occur, I make no bones about standing up to him and saying, because it's one thing that I did learn, or soulfully remember with my former husband was that I spent many years in a space of being unconscious, of not being in love, of being unconscious in my own automatic programming, in which I was being a kept woman. Something that I chose unconsciously, and I take full responsibility for in what was happening, which was holding me down. And in that space of what I was working through in those moments, I felt that I was being held down and that I was sacrificing who I was in many ways. And so, in coming to grow from that, I came to understand that I was free from, needing to sacrifice myself and who I am for my former husband's agendas. And I simply outgrew that relationship and came to understand that I am to be who I am regardless, and then who is vibrationally in that same space with me, in that same resonance, will automatically be coming to me. And so I totally understand about that. And as the divine feminine and the divine masculine, we both deserve to be honored and cherished and treated with love and respect. Totally. That resides in the balance of it. What usually occurs is in our quest to stand up, some moments when we're first practicing this, we are in our indoctrination of the divine masculine, us as the divine feminine, and what occurs is a sense of frustration because we are standing in our divine masculine power and demanding basically that the divine masculine treats us with love, honor, and respect. And that is in the moments that we're being asked to simply let go and come back into our divine feminine and simply understand that we are to be that love, honor, and respect. And then those who resonate will simply come to us. And so I know that for her, that it's not about, and for others in this situation, when you really love someone, you make the time. It's not a sacrifice. You're not sacrificing yourself for anyone. You are still being who you are, and you are choosing to make that time to choose to share who you are with another, divine masculine or divine feminine. And it takes a deep love and a deep commitment within the twin soul sacred path union to continue on this path so that all the automatic programmings that are within you and then also within your twin soul, which is in essence also within you because you share the same soul, that all of those automatic programmings are then dealt with and shifted. And in the next video, I'm going to explain how to go about doing that actually, for twin souls and also for all in all relationships, in all aspects of life, how to come into that space. She had remarked that she felt that this woman had felt that she was giving away too much power to her twin soul, basically allowing him to have the best of both worlds, having his cake and eating it too, as it were, because she was still being with him. And as I explained to her, and I will share with you, the choice is always yours of what you feel in your own heart that you are meant to do and be on the twin soul path and journey. The 8 phases and stages in the previous videos and in all the videos that I do here are a guide to simply share with you not only my own personal journey with my beloved twin soul, but also to share with you some guidelines. But the real true guideline in all of this, there is no guideline. The only guideline, the only guidebook, if you will, is that of your heart. And when I say that of your heart, it is coming from a space, not that it's mushy. The heart itself is not mushy. The heart space, the heart centeredness is that space that is free from ego and free from judgment. It's just an isness, just as the love a mother has for her child. That's that space of inner knowing that you are to take with you on the sacred path. In twin soul relationships, they are a way for you to step out of earthly relationships and into seeing and being in that heart space of unconditional love in a soulful relationship and a spiritual relationship rather than an earthly one, as I have said before. So, in stepping into that spiritual space, in that soulful space, that soulful resonance of the sacred path relationship, there are some questions to ask. Would God say that it would be too much to be in touch with you because you're not being the way I want you to be? Would God act the way that you're acting, say the things that you're saying in this moment? Does God say I've given too much power away by loving you and allowing you to be who you are? Seeing as God sees, seeing as love sees, the master artist sees. That's what the true spiritual relationship of sacred path relationships, of twin soul union, and of all soulful relationships is all about. And the other thing that I will share is this. There are moments perhaps when we feel that we are to no longer be in contact with our twin soul for a period of time because some growth is required that neither one of you can do together anymore. Again, it goes into those phases and stages of the 8 stages. Some moments in the 3, 4, and 5 stages with the crises, the testing, and the runner dynamic, twin souls have been known to part ways for a time. So that growth can be done technically on your own. However, you're not always you're never on your own, simply because you are always with your twin soul. There is no separation. However, from a physical standpoint, there may come a time when you are free from being in physical contact, whether it's via email or phone or being in physical presence or, whatnot. And in those moments, if you are feeling called to and another soulmate comes into your life, again, if it's your given soul agreement and you know this within your heart, that you are to experience this relationship with this soulmate in the journey to reuniting physically with your twin soul, then by all means do so. The question that you would want to ask in those moments, are you sure you are not giving up on your twin soul simply because of the difficulties that you have had with him or her? You are free from being able to just forget your twin soul. Okay, there are no, I've also been asked the question, and I will address this here. Can you cut cords with your twin soul? The answer is no. Okay, anyone who tells you that you can cut cords with your twin soul, I would lovingly and kindly say to you, run and run fast. And the reason for that is that you are infinitely always connected with your twin soul. You are never not connected with your twin soul. There is no separation. And as such, they are you, you are them. So you are unable to cut cords. Energetic ties and the heart ties that bind you will always be there, regardless of whether you are in physical relationship or not. And so with that, I will simply say that if you have any questions on the path of the sacred union of twin souls, I would invite you to get in touch with me. You can go to our new website, which is nenari.net, and you can see all of the prose and spiritual articles on twin souls that we have written, and the videos are listed there, our music is listed there, everything is listed there, all in one place, which is basically taking the last 4.5 years of all of the writings and everything that we've had sprinkled on our One Soul Relationships Facebook page and, in videos on our separate YouTube channels and whatnot, and just kind of putting it all in one space so that you can go and visit that. So I invite you to go to that website, or you can always come and email us. The contact information is on the new website. Also, you can contact me personally at my website, diamondlady.net, and send me an email off of there as well. And join us on our Sacred Path, Sacred Union Facebook group as well. And I will leave the links for all of this down below in the video description. And if you have a question or looking for mentoring on the Twin Soul Sacred Path journey, please contact us, and we will be most willing to help you on the journey in any way that we can. And thank you for being willing to take on the Sacred Path journey of Twin Souls. I love you. We love you. Spabo.